ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Check this out, we got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors. That time of the week, good friend and colleague, Mr. Andrew McInnis, talking a little, I'll give you the headline. McDavid moving or staying in Edmonton. We haven't done a hockey show, so this was going to be a recap show. Quick little recap on the Cup. NCAA Insiders following with a recap. I don't know if anyone's showing up, so we'll get to that in a minute. First and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download the app. It is free. Atlanta Steaks and Seafood.com. Steaks, seafood, chops, wines, appetizers. Terry's got it all. If you want to introduce yourself, head on over to Facebook. Terry Smith is the name. Tell him JD from ECSI sent you. Without further ado, Mr. Andrew McInnis. What's up?
What's up, Jeff? How are you?
I'm doing great. You know, we haven't done a show. I was in Ionia on Friday. I didn't get back to your channel. Apologies. We'll be back there, of course, this Friday. Cup, you know, this is already, you know, hats off to Florida. Back-to-back champs. They just look like a wagon. It looked like Edmonton ran out of gas. Back-to-back Western Conference champs. And, of course, loss in the Cup back-to-back years. Sam Bennett, your Conn Smythe winner. Watching them around, you know, the year of Ovechkin when that you know, he was drunk for like months, it seemed. But my headline, actually, I'll give you the stage here. Quick recap. Just too much, wore him down. What was the final thought in your eyes?
Well, I mean, just, you know, I always talk about depth in every single sport, but that's ultimately what it comes down to. When you're talking about debating with the Conn Smythe Trophy winner and the two guys probably coming up, of course, were Bennett or Marchand, that's an issue if you're the Edmonton Oilers, because the other good players are Reinhart, Verhaeghe, Tkachuk, Bobrovsky, so many other great players in the Florida Panthers, and those guys weren't even in the top two consideration for the Conn Smythe Trophy. That's a problem. So, you know, if you're Connor McDavid, you're sitting there, you're looking around the room and you're saying Trent Frederic and Jake Wallman, those are the two players you traded for at the deadline for me. Like those are the guys you got to help. You know, Wallman was good. Frederic will be a good long-term piece, but you know, you watch one team go out there and a little bit of help from the LTIR, but they pick up Brad Marchand and Seth Jones. A little bit different than picking up Trent Frederic, you know, and Jake Wallman. So if you're Connor McDavid, you're looking around the room and saying, what did I do wrong here? because why can't our team look like that? And so as much as I've taken shots about the no state tax and all the LTIR and everything, we have to give credit to Bill Zito for the team he's constructed. And Jeff, when you look at that team overall, one of the funniest things about looking at that team is very few of the players on that team, especially the top players, were actually drafted by the Florida Panthers. The majority of that team were acquired and traded, free agency, or whatever it might have been. So hats off to Bill Zito, hats off to Paul Maurice, and hats off to the Florida Panthers for getting the job done. They were just far too much for the Edmonton Oilers. When it comes down to it, it's a really good thing if every single day you have no idea which guy was going to be the main character for the Florida Panthers. And of course, Sam Reinhart was the main character in Game 7. He got the job done. Some might say McDavid didn't play his best in Game 7, 6, maybe even as well. I could agree with that. Barkov shut him down. But I'll tell you what, it takes a load off a player's back when he knows he has more help behind him. And, for a guy like Barkov and Tkachuk, when they know they have guys like Bennett and Marchand behind them, makes them feel pretty good. For McDavid and Draisaitl, they felt like they were pretty much all alone. They're missing Zach Hyman. That hurts them. I'm going to jump ahead of the question for you, and I'm going to throw this out there, Jeff. 2 words, bridge deal. I think McDavid signs for a couple years and not any more than that. I don't think he's leaving, but I think if he stays, I don't think he's signing long-term right away.
Well, yeah, you beat me to the punch. I did give you the lead and the headline. Yeah. But I think it might have been Spittin' Chicklets or someone I was listening to. Brings up a great point, and you just talked about it. Florida, no state tax. They brought up Tampa. I don't know what it would take, but it makes all the sense in the world. Hey, shit, I'm going to go look at all the success Florida has. And then let's go back up even further. All the success Tampa. Here's the state of Florida, 100 degrees every other day, and yet they're winning Stanley Cups every year.
Yeah.
So there comes a point in a career, in a person's life, where you take a look around the room. What more can I do? I know I got Leon. I know I got players. But at some point, don't you have to take a stance for yourself and say, you know what? I do like the Sunshine State. I do like the no tax. The hell with Canada. The hell with this BS. No team from Canada's won a cup in a bazillion years. I'm out.
Well, that's why I don't think anybody will blame him for being the Connor McDavid that we've never seen before, which is showing some personality, telling the management what he wants, and saying, how can we be in the Stanley Cup Finals and we don't even know who our starting goalie is going to be every day? How can that be a thing? If McDavid wasn't on that team, if he even took a couple games off for injury, who knows what happens during any of those series? They went down 2-0 against LA, right? It's a very big problem that it's, you and me against the world mentality on that team. So Jeff, the press conference, if we had some of the clips right now, you could tell he chose his words very carefully with what he was saying. At the end of the day, the way I dissected it was there has to be changes. Things need to be done here. I want to talk about my future. I can't see him going to his agent and saying, yeah, sign me up for 8 years. Give me the maximum. Let's ride it out. He loves the fans. He loves being there, I think. But at the end of the day, he wants to see what Bowman does, because it's not Kenny Holland anymore. It's Bowman. And so some might, I was listening to a podcast last week, and actually it was the day of Game 7, and it was the color commentator for the Oilers radio. He said, and keep in mind, he's, maybe a little bit of bias, going on, but he said that he believes, just with the cap and with the trades and the assets that they have, Jeff, he thinks their team is going to be better next year than it was in the past 2 years. And part of me is like, okay, that's pretty promising to hear. But at the end of the day, they have to trade for a goalie. It would not shock me. Stuart Skinner. Yeah.
I told you, you beat me to the next question. I got a goalie. I've been telling you all year I got a goalie. Do you want me to drive Swayman down there or not?
Yes.
You guys were in on him.
And the fact is they missed it completely They ride out with Skinner. Like, Skinner would be an unbelievable backup.
Mhm.
Like, he would be one of the best backups in the league, but he's no starter goalie. And Pickett's had a great run, but he's not. He's his career's coming to an end, so it's tough. At the end of the day, they need. Look, Jeff Skinner, that was a bad pickup. The guy's too small. It was his first time ever playing in the playoffs. He didn't really do that well. Arvidsson, they're going in different directions. If we pulled up the list right now, Jeff, of this Oilers team, I can tell you a handful of guys on this team that will probably not even be back. Evander Kane, who knows what's going to happen with him? They're probably worried that if they get rid of him, he'll do really well somewhere else. Arvidsson might not be back. Skinner, as I said, might not be back. So very interesting to see what happens with some of these players. And then you got to pay certain guys like Evan Bouchard, Darnell Nurse already makes a ton of money. So my guess is going to be like $13 million times 4 for Connor McDavid, something like that. 13.5 times 4 or something like that, 14 times 4. And he says, let's see what you guys can do for me in the next few years. If we don't win, I'm out. But the thing is, it's so hard, Jeff, to win the Stanley Cup. They were just there 2 straight years. Like, if you had to give me a yes/no button at pretty good odds, I would lay a minus price at a pretty heavy number that they don't go back. And I think they're the favorites right now to go back. It's hard. You got Dallas, you got Colorado, you've got Vegas, you've got all these teams. It's hard to go back to back to back, especially if they didn't win the past 2 years.
Didn't Florida go back to back to back?
They won.
No, they won back to back, but didn't they 3 years ago? Didn't
3
they
years.
lose in the finals?
3 years.
So it can be done.
Yeah.
Shout out to Marty Lowe, Roll Tide. He asked me, what do I think of the Drew Holiday trade? Brad Stevens does laps around Danny Ainge, and Danny Ainge was a GM that had to win the trade, and I don't think Brad's like that. This came out of nowhere, meaning we knew Holiday has to move, potentially Porzingis has to move. I don't think we're moving Derek White, and of course, Jaylen Brown, if you want to make a big splash, because we're in cap hurt. New owners, you know what I'm saying. The second tier here, they got to get under. So my point is, great move by Stevens here. I didn't know this was coming, meaning this player. A lot of people locally were shocked at the return. They didn't even know Portland was shopping this guy. So that was my take. I don't know if you have a take, Andrew, on the Holiday trade.
They seem pretty calculated, I guess. And from the end of the day is it's how you have a passionate fan base when people are a little bit up in arms about something like this. But I think it's a trade made for a reason. And one thing about Boston is, we're just talking about the Florida Panthers, to bring it all full circle. They want to keep being in the mix. They want to keep buzzing around. They can use the Tatum injury as an excuse this year, and it's a pretty valid excuse. Next year, they want to be right back at it, Jeff, and I think they will be once again. Gotta love Scott Kelly, ECSI. Jeff and I will drive Swayman to the airport free of charge. I love that.
Hey, Scotty, what's up? Crack some aces, behave. And we'll catch up soon. Let's go to the CFL. And, of course, DraftKings earlier before we started didn't have any numbers up. We've had a great start to the ECSI VIP. We're at about 65, 68%. Team totals haven't dove into any sides for the most part. I've had some thoughts, but been successful on the sides. What did you see last weekend, Andrew, in the CFL?
Well, of course, Montreal continues to roll. I don't think it matters if Edmonton had 5 bye weeks in a row. Edmonton was not going to be able to keep up with the Montreal Alouettes. So we're going to find out how much bye weeks matter in the CFL, because the funny thing is, this week Montreal's playing another team that's fresh off a bye week. If I'm Montreal, I'd be a little bit offended here. I'd be like, you guys going to just keep giving me teams that are coming off byes here? But yeah, the Montreal Alouettes, 38 points. You cashed your team total with ease. I hit my over in that game. Trey Ford, similar to what we always say about him. The garbage time touchdowns and garbage time drives look good on the stat sheet, but didn't really look solid. Offensive line injuries, got to watch out for that when it comes to the Edmonton Elks right now. They're a little bit injured. Davis Alexander, he did go down, Jeff. Something to watch for this week. But apparently, the thing is, it was a lopsided game until the garbage time touchdowns in the end. He said he could have gone back in. And apparently he went to his brother's wedding over the weekend. Didn't practice yesterday, but he was getting treatment at the facility. Seems like he should be fine. But Bethel Thompson came in. He went 6 for 8, 77 yards. One thing I find interesting, they got rid of Walter Fletcher, who I'm really high on, running back, who I still don't think landed on his feet, which I don't understand. Sean Thomas Erlington, 11 carries, 63 yards, 1 touchdown, and Stevie Scott with 7 carries, 17 yards behind center there. And of course, Davis Alexander, Bethel Thompson as well. Those guys. Philpott, 8 receptions, 96 yards. Rambo, 3 receptions, 77 yards. I mean, this team is unbelievable. The fact they have it defensively and they have a huge cast of characters on offense in the receiver position. They're really dangerous. Red Blacks and Stampeders, that was a weather game. I was talking to you backstage about that one. That's one I'll think about all season long. Opened at 52. I watched the total go under, kind of crash down, and I didn't want to get in a bad number. And it turns out no matter what number you would have gotten, you would have hit the under in that one. Hard to read much out of that one. The Stampeders take a loss there in that one. They're 2-1 now, but Dustin Crum didn't look very good for the Red Blacks. 9 of 22. It goes to show, Jeff, that some teams you can make money on the backup quarterbacks like we did with Strevler in week 1 for Winnipeg. But some teams like Ottawa, you go from Drew Brown to Matthew Schultz to now Dustin Crum. There's levels to it in the CFL. It's just way different going from one guy to the next.
Andrew,
they roll.
Andrew, he reminded me of Harry Crum. The way he was.
They are bad. Did you watch the game at all? Did you see some of that?
I saw some highlights.
Couldn't complete a pass.
I was watching, actually, I think it was Gabe's timeline. He goes, I'm 38 sheets to the wind, and I can complete more passes.
yeah. And then, of course, the BC game. That was one that was tough for me. I did have a play on BC plus the points there. I liked the back-to-back spot. I liked the fact that 1 week I was getting value on Winnipeg's backup quarterback. The next week, I felt like I was getting value on BC's backup quarterback. Turns out Winnipeg's going to just roll. They're going to create turnovers. They're going to cause havoc. And unless you're getting a good amount of points, you don't really want to go against them. I know it sounds easy to say this, Jeff, easier said than done, but is it fair to say that right now, this early in the CFL, you almost just want to be betting on good teams and betting against bad teams until it starts being the middle of July or late July, because maybe the books don't know how bad or how good some of these teams are yet. Evidently, Montreal is covering spreads. This week, we do see Winnipeg laying, 11 now, or 10.5, 11. So there have been some adjustments, but the good teams have rolled and the bad teams are getting rolled, it seems like. Very clear, distinct difference.
Yeah, and we talked backstage. I said, we've had a great start to the year successfully with the team totals, but it's more of, for the most part, the teams that you think are going to win the game that have been favored by 5.5 with over-unders of 50, 51, 52, 49, 48. Have gotten the magic number seems to be in the CFL 27. So if you're going to give me a 25.5 or a 26.5, 27 is the number. Now we got bit on by a hook, 27.5 to go 2-1 this weekend instead of 3-0. But on DraftKings, you got the whole candy store. So if you wanted 26.5, you had to lay 40 cents, and we've talked about that. So, again, it's not panic time. It's not reinvent the wheel time. I mean, a perfect Thursday night. Are you kidding me? Edmonton versus Winnipeg. I mean, every Tom, Dick, and Harry's going to have money line parlay teasers with Winnipeg. I'm not saying the Elks win the game. I'm not saying they cover the game. But why did the spread start so low? Because there's only one way anyone's going to bet that game.
Yeah, I just feel like if anybody wants, and one thing we've been noticing that is very similar to what was happening last year, Jeff, is if you think you're going to be on a little bit of a contrarian side, then you're better off waiting till game day. A lot of people in the NFL and college, you want to get in early, but it's the way that the numbers move. Let's face it, like you said, the number is only going to go one way. So if you like Edmonton, do you think you're going to hurt yourself if you wait until Thursday at kickoff? Probably not, right? I mean, unless just a lot of money comes in on the Elks, which would be a little bit shocking. And one thing that we've noticed, whether it's been the limits increasing on the same day, whether it's, Americans coming in on game day and betting it more, whatever it might be, the game day money and the game day action has been flipping lines. So usually we're seeing a little bit of movement, Jeff, on Monday, Tuesday afternoon. Like we'll see a little bit of movement today, I think. And then we'll see no movement again until about Thursday evening, Friday. And then all the game day steam starts to come in. If anybody likes the Elks, I would wait right till game day. I'll tell you what I've been doing with some of these bad teams, Jeff, is I'll just wait. I'll live bet. I told you personally, I have really, really slowed down. I don't live bet much anymore. Baseball, hockey, basketball, whatever it might be. CFL, I will live bet because, these games get like in the Elks game against Montreal last Thursday, I got them plus 20 and the hook. I mean, you know how hard it is for a football team to lose by 21 points? That's a lot of points, and they ended up losing by 10. So I had the over in the game and I got Edmonton plus 20 and a half. So I'll be waiting until that in-game spot again for Winnipeg to be up 13-3 or whatever it is. And then I'll be jumping in on the in-game spot there. But how about this, Jeff? If you like Edmonton in any sort of way or fashion in a spread, you just bet the over. Because that's how I felt last week in the Montreal-Edmonton game. Obviously, you were the smart one. You just said, I'm going to pick one team total. But Edmonton is going to contribute to the scoring. That's never been their issue, really. They're just not going to get stops. And that's what makes me laugh. People will talk down about Trey Ford. At the end of the day, you give him Winnipeg's defense, he'll win some games this year. He's going to put up some points for you, but the defense just isn't there.
And that's the scary part there. I'm on FanDuel right now, and believe it, let me hit refresh here because they got a 9.5 on that game, Andrew. Let me see if I hit refresh. Yeah, they got a 9.5 with a 50 and a hook. So
Yeah.
They're telling you right away, 30-20. I mean, Edmonton team total. I mean, the only way Edmonton can win this game or be competitive, Andrew, obviously win the turnover battle, but control the game, take the air out of the ball, as you said, because Winnipeg could put up 24 in the first half if they wanted to. They don't need to get into a track meet against this team because their defense is going to slow this team down and stop them more often than not here, Andrew.
And that's one thing with Oliveira and then the rest of the running back room that they have over there in Winnipeg is, for lack of better words, they're going to piss you off by just not letting you get the ball back. Like I said, in the CFL, with it being a 3-down league, it is easy to get the ball back, but the time that the clock is ticking, if you have these long drives in the Canadian game and you're down by 10 points, it can be really frustrating just waiting out there on the sideline. And then you finally send your offense back out there and you go 2 and out, and then you kick the ball away, and Winnipeg gets the ball back again. But I wanted to ask you about this Montreal game because, a lot of people this season, if you haven't been overthinking some stuff, you've been on the right side. And, I've lost twice with Hamilton. So when I'm saying this stuff to you, I'm talking to myself here. Lost twice with Hamilton, who are winless ATS and winless straight up. Now, this is the thing about this spot, and you've been handicapping football for many years. When I look at this spot here, this number, of course, is not a Davis Alexander number, I would say. I think that's an MBT number, probably. Bethel Thompson number for Montreal. But when you look at this spot, this reminds me of like mid-July, late July, early August, where I like to bet on these situational spots in the CFL. I don't really care, but I mean, Montreal played Edmonton last Thursday. So they've got a whole week pretty much to prepare, get back home. So forget about the travel. There's no west coast of Canada back to the east coast, no rest. There's none of that. Then you look at what they've been able to do against every team defensively. It's almost like if you bet defensive touchdown every game for them, you're going to be in play. You're going to have a shot. And then I mentioned the offense, several guys with, 60, 70, 80, 90 receiving yards. I think that people should bet the -2.5 today on Montreal. It's only going to get worse. If Davis Alexander said, if it gets announced that he's good to go, that number could get to 3.5 by game day. I recommend people jumping in on the 2.5. I mean, it's the same thing we said for Edmonton. That bye week's not going to save them. And this bye week's not going to save Hamilton. Hamilton has good weapons, but I've decided to look at it like this, Jeff. The only time I want to bet my money ATS-wise on the Hamilton Tiger Cats is when they're getting a handful of points. Like, I consider the 2.5 point spread range win range. Like, you're not betting the team plus 2.5 unless you feel they can win the ball game. And I don't think Montreal can win that ball, or Hamilton can win that ball game. A lot of things would have to go right for Hamilton for Montreal to lose there.
Before we wrap it up, I wanted to give everyone a comedy shout. The LA Dodgers tonight travel to Colorado, undecided versus Marquise. The LA Dodgers team total 7.5, juice under -137. So you need a touchdown and a 2-point conversion, and you can get that at +117 on Bet Online there. Before we wrap it up, any baseball insights? Hats off, you Jays are playing some great ball, kid.
Yeah, well, good to see the Jays. I mean, you should have seen the panic with the Canadian media. You think it's bad with the Maple Leafs and the Canadians, Jeff? Well, we got just one baseball team up here, so it's real bad when the Jays aren't going too well. I'll tell you what. I mean, at this point right now, I want to start betting on. We just talked about the CFL, betting on the good teams and avoiding the bad teams. They've been talking a lot about it on some of these wager talk shows, and I've kind of been agreeing with it here. Is that some of these great teams weren't going to remain great all season long, like the Tigers. And some of these teams like the Rockies weren't going to be piss poor all season long either. Everything kind of levels to the mean. Some of these, really bad teams are still going to win 20, 25% of their games. That's just how it works. And you look at some of the teams like the Tigers, they're going to regress and kind of have their percentage go down a bit. So, as you know, I like betting team totals. We all know Jeff loves the team totals, does really well with them. And you can make money with team totals on some of these lesser teams as well. I'm not saying, you can't sprinkle a money line sometimes. But what I am saying is that you can take a look at a team total for a team in the bottom of the standings a little bit, and you can try and pick your spot. You don't have to always bet team totals with the favorites. You look at the board right now, Jeff, some of these games here, there was one that stood out to me. Miami. Verlander versus Quantrill. I wouldn't be, if the total is 7.5 here, move to 8. I wouldn't be shocked to put a little sprinkle here on Miami team total over. We saw a little bit of money come in favor of them. Nobody really wants to bet team totals or bet on some of these dogs in certain situations. But you don't be shocked, Jeff, if you start seeing me betting on some of these teams. Like, what the hell is Andrew doing with some of these? But we'll see. It's a long season, right? So these teams aren't going to perform well 162 games. So we'll see. I liked your play yesterday though, and I was looking at that Sox game. I feel like if you can figure out the Red Sox, you can make a lot of money because it's either them or their opponent that goes over their team total. It's always seems to be. You're not really seeing the Red Sox play a 3-1 game, are you?
No, it was a storybook ending, no pun intended, as I despise Story, but he's back to being hot. Red Sox team total over 4.5. I think we got him at +105. ECSI VIP start the week off 1-0. Big week last week, 9-3. Plus LSU +140 to win the College World Series. In the NASCAR, we finished 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. We couldn't get to the podium. So cooking with Crisco here.
All done.
But what does Andrew McInnis at McInnis Picks at Wager Talk at WT.Buzz /A&M have to offer for the public?
So we've got two things to mention for today. The first one I'm going to mention, I just want to pull it up to make sure I've got the right details here. This is a coupon code here. New 29 will get people 3 days of all plays for $29 if you are a new customer at Wager Talk. So if you've never gone over to the website, never purchased plays before, never grabbed any of my packages before, the promo code is new 29. Get 3 days of all my plays. Test the waters. I recommend people to jump in with that on Thursday. You know, that's when I get involved in my CFL action. You know, baseball's busier at that time of the week anyway. And new 29, it's only good for people that have never signed up at Wager Talk. So if you're interested, and of course, it's $5 Tuesday. Typically, I've been using the $5 Tuesday play for one of my CFL plays on the weekend. That will go back to $25 or $35 when the clock strikes midnight Pacific time. So if you want to get one of my favorite plays in the CFL for week 4, you jump in today for just $5. Price goes back $25, at midnight tonight. So looking forward to a great week, Jeff. Looking forward to seeing you on Friday morning. And hopefully we can keep rolling. Big week for you last week. You're going to keep following it up.
Yes, go follow Andrew at McInnis Picks at Wager Talk, WT.Buzz /A&M, and take advantage of $5 Tuesday and, of course, all the specials that they do have over there. Tomorrow, 11 a.m., Brady Cannon back. I think we got the Rocket Mortgage. I think that's where we are. We did hit the one and done, me and my buddy there. We had Keegan Bradley, so we're finally on the board in the Pat Mayo Cup. About damn time we both had them. So we're still alive, hoping to cash at the Pat Mayo Cup. And then Thursday, we're going to have Matthew George on from Sports Grid, and Scotty Webb will be back on Friday. I will be on the Sports Grid tonight, in-game live at 8:32. Anyone interested in an ECSI VIP experience, just head on over to eastcoastsportsinvestors.com. Top right corner, plans and pricing. Scroll all the way down. Put the retail to the left for just $3 a day. You can get all our plays sent to you via text and email. Any questions, comments, concerns? Head on over to Twitter at EC Sports Invest. DM me there or send us an email to eastcoastsportsinvestors@gmail.com. For myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, the one and only Andrew McInnis at McInnis Picks. We wish everyone a blessed day and see you soon.